Switched off, audio muted, and video off for the entire lecture session. Thank you. We'll start in some time. Please wait. you for the entire length of the lecture. We start in some.
So we'll start Kashan, sir. Kashi, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah, we can start the session.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I request you all to please keep your phones muted, audio muted, and your video off. We'll start the session now. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this YouTube live event organized by School of Planning, Architecture and Design Excellence, Chennai. As a part of ongoing international talk series, today's talk is on Designing Responsible Luxury by David Moore, Regional Director, WATG, Singapore. I request on Architect Professor N.S. Ashok to introduce the speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kashirajan. Architect David Moore needs no introduction to students and faculty of the School of Planning, Architecture and Design Excellence, Chennai. Dave has mentored and exposed our budding student architects to the nuances of design. Architect David Moore is the Regional Director of a celebrated 75-year-old global hospitality design firm, WATG, with over 500 creative professionals across 9 locations around the world. With more than 25 years of experience, Dave has served as chairman on the board of WATG and has created several iconic and destination hotels and resorts the world over, one among them being the Atlantis in Dubai. WATG works with the best known hospitality brands in the world, such as the Four Seasons, Marriott, Ritz-Carlton, Hyatt, crafting unique guest experiences. Today, I have invited Dave to speak on designing responsible luxury. The terms responsible and luxury are a paradox in themselves. Designing for luxury is not necessarily about using expensive material, but an all-inclusive approach to design, starting at space planning. I now invite the man himself, Architect David Moore.
Thank you, Ashok, very much. I think I'm going to pop right into the slides in the agenda, what I'm going to go through, and I'll give a little bit more bio on myself as we and hold on. Okay, can you see that okay?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, hold on. Let's see what's going on. Try it one more time. Stop. Hold on.
Yes.
Oh. Still see?
Yeah, I can see your screen, but yeah.
Okay. Let me put it on presentation. Can you see the full screen?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, as Ashok mentioned, designing responsible luxury, it's quite an interesting topic. I'm taking a little bit different spin on it. You'll see the designs and planning along the way, but I also wanted to talk about what we do before we even start putting a pen to paper. Also, the things you have to think about, and so I'll talk about those, and then I'll show you the examples along the way. So here's some intro pieces. I'll do an intro on myself, like I said, aspects before pen to paper, and then talk about how we integrate the local community, cultural tourism, health and wellness. Talk a lot about what do these luxury customers expect. I think we should all be talking about COVID-19 now because it's really changing the hospitality industry and the luxury market and how we approach things.
Dave,
And,
Dave, can I interrupt you? Could you minimize the black box on the, that one.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. And then I'll talk a little bit about what's happening, I think, with your generation as you start to come out into the workforce, what the new generation of luxury travelers are doing now and just starting to do, which we think is going to take off. So you're going to get a little bit of history, what we think is coming next, and how we approach design. So I hope you enjoy that and look forward to the questions coming soon. A little bit about me, as Ashok mentioned, I've designed quite a few different projects for different operators. And I actually started at WATG in 1989. I don't know how many of you were born at that time, but that's when I started 31 years ago now. And started as the most junior designer running prints and running around for all the senior leaders in the company. And somehow I turned from the youngest guy to one of the oldest guys in the office now. So I don't know the day that changed, but it's been an interesting journey. The second picture here, the Four Seasons Golf Resort, is one myself and Ashok worked on together just in the past years. So it's one of my favorites. It's not been built, but it was a great design process and just enjoyed working together on that. But worked across the entire region, mainly in Asia, from Sri Lanka's to Bali's, to many Mauritius and many other locations. So just a few of the projects that I've worked on that I'm very happy to be part of. And again, just happy to be working with so many different talented people and talented operators along the way. About WATG, we started in 1945, so we're a pretty old company, but you have to just keep reinventing yourself to stay on top of the game and to stay current with everything. And that's what we try to do. Our founder, Pete Wimberly, he was in the Army in Hawaii, and he was traveling out to Asia in the 1950s and always told us that Asia was our future. We had to be in this region. And he was way ahead of his time, but he transformed our firm into not just being an architecture firm, just doing buildings or thinking about buildings. He always wanted us to think about guests, their experience, the sense of place where we were building. And that's how we became a leader in tourism and the tourist industry. That's why when many hotels are going to be formed, we're always on a list of architects to be considered for those projects. There's many great architects that design hospitality projects, but we've been around so long and have done more hotels than anybody, and we've kept current along the way. So that's been very, very important for us, and it's something I'm very, very proud of. We started really with the hotel and resort and residential market, but hospitality is really formed into just about every type of building that we do. And that goes from urban mixed use, whether it's shopping malls or other types of buildings, cultural tourism. We do a lot of themed hotels and themed retail. That picture there is a picture in Las Vegas. It's a small picture, I know, but it's Las Vegas, the Venetian Hotel there. Goes into entertainment. We work a lot with Disney, Legoland, and other entertainment leaders. We've done hospitals. We don't necessarily do surgery rooms so much, but hospitals have asked us to come back through and put a hospitality feature within the hospitals because they think it's better for healing for the guests, or I should say patients. We call them guests. They call them patients, but making sure that not only the patient, but the people visiting the patient have a great experience at the hospital so it's not so depressing. And so we try to lift their spirit and lift their feel while they're there. So it's been very, very important and a whole new aspect of what we've been doing with the health and wellness. goes into high rise, and we've even had industrial parks that want a different type of look and feel. So when you go out of the industrial building and the food areas and things, they really want it to feel more resort-like and a more comfortable place to work for all the people in the area. So we've really branched it into just about every type of building type you can think of. So that's one of the reasons I like hospitality. It transcends every type of building type. And then we also work, as you've been told, with about every single operator out there. I just listed a few here. Taj and Oberoi are two that are also on this list that we're very proud that we've done work with them, and it's been very, very exciting. Oh. Okay, I heard some background, but I think it's gone now. And then a little bit about our services. We have strategy services for clients that don't know what they want to build. So we have a team of economists that can come out and evaluate places and determine how many rooms, restaurants, who the competitive market set is, how much they should spend on a project, which coincides into the planning of a project, whether it's a site plan for a hotel or a building, or it's a large master plan for a city. We do both of those. Of course, which leads into the architecture, the landscape architecture, and the interiors of a project. So, we're very excited about all those lines of service, and we try to do all of them anytime we can. So a little bit about the aspects before we put a pen to paper. I think the first thing that Pete Wimberly always taught me right from the beginning back in 1989 is understand where you're building, understand the local community and what it means to the local community to have a hotel, a building there. How do we influence them? How can we create jobs? What does it do for their culture? And it taught me right from the beginning back in 1989. I hear some feedback, but okay, I'll just keep going. So we're always looking at the local communities and culture as we move into a project. And I think that's been so important, and it's also been part of our success. This project here is the Tenzhanjara Resort. It's in Malaysia. It won a Aga Khan Award. And for those of you that don't know an Aga Khan Award, it's given about every 3 years. In 3-year cycles, there's usually 4, 5, 6, 7 projects that may get the award in that single year. They're very coveted in the Muslim community. And if it reflects the community, the jobs, the architecture of the region, the details, preservation, that all goes forth to making or having you get this award. And this award we're very, very proud of because it really inspired us to look at the local architecture closely, do these overwater bungalows, get the local community involved with the carvings. And it's just been a great success, this project. It's still very, very popular. It looks like it could have been designed yesterday, to be honest with you. They've maintained it well, kept it up well. The entire site planning was to preserve trees. It has a turtle sanctuary, which we worked around, which is a great thing for the guests to see. And it really has withstood the test of time. It was probably built 40 years ago, this project. And like I said, still very, very popular. I think Ashok really touched on it. It doesn't use expensive materials. It's very, very local materials. We use very local wood carvers, very simple materials, and it maintains that 5-star luxury quality, and it really reflects the region and the area and what people want to see. And that, like I said, is one of the most important aspects to me. 40 years on, and I think it's just timeless. It's one of those timeless projects that we will always keep in our portfolio, and we're very, very happy about. Another aspect I wanted to talk about before we do a project is storytelling. And this, again, it goes back to the culture, but we really, really try to look for things that luxury guest is going to really enjoy and will help set our property apart. Sometimes they're easy to find if you're in a place like this. This looks like a picture of Bhutan in Myanmar, where there's lots of stories, lots of history. Buddhism from the 11th century is in this area, and I've been here many, many times. But I'm actually going to tell you a different story about the Lost City. This project was entirely based on a story. It really started in a valley with nothing in it. There was no real wildlife here. Some beautiful rolling hills, had some architecture and an old casino that was pretty dodgy, I would say, at best. And the team was really looking for something to grasp onto. So they started talking about a story of a tribe that started in the north of Africa and worked their way down to southern Africa and settled in this pristine valley and created this palace here. And this is called the Palace of the Lost City. And everything about this building is palatial because it wanted to be palace-like. We wanted to make it feel like a tribe came here, and they picked up the artifacts from the area. And I think that story is what really helped tie this concept together all the way through. Starting from your entry and your arrivals, it really talks about the animal life through the artwork, the detailing of the columns being from bamboo or taking tusks from the elephants. And if you look at these towers at the top of the building here, the detail of that is actually the tusk of an elephant makes the main structure with palm leaves set in between. And all the way through, the artisanship, the craftsmanship was incredibly high on this project. But what it did, it really tied the project together in a location there was nothing. And what happens is now if you go to this resort, they tell the story to you about how the architecture was formed. And it's always one of those things that we wonder in the future, will people believe the story or not? It's not a true story. It was made up, but it really brought life to a region that was didn't have anything. I have to say one of the real benefits of this project was having wildlife, actual wildlife, come back. Once the project was done, the landscapes were built. They started getting bird life coming from other parts of South Africa, settling in this valley, and maybe they settled there in the old days before the first casino was built. But wildlife has come back here. There's the flora and fauna is incredible, and it's really turned into an amazing place. They hold professional golf tournaments here at the golf course. There's many pictures with Tiger Woods with this big picture in the background. And it really tries to pick up that African theme all the way through. And this palace has really become a landmark and a very nice luxury resort, even though it's about 350 keys. So it's not a small hotel, but it really attracts the tourists into the region. So again, a project that we're very, very proud of, very happy, and really sticks into that luxury market. I would say this one, because of the materials aren't so expensive, but the carvings and artistry that went into the project made it much more expensive than most of the ones that we do. A lot of times if you price a hotel per guest key, we might say it's somewhere between $150,000 to $200,000 per key, can go up depending on the region for a luxury hotel. But that hotel, after they did all the carvings, was also almost $1 million a key to design. So it's very, very expensive hotel in the end. So that one falls into the high-end luxury category, but not necessarily for materials, but because of the craftsmanship and detail. Another aspect I want to talk about, we need to know what the customers expect before they arrive. What are they looking for? And easy reservations doesn't sound like an architectural piece that you have to design anything around, but it's one of the first things that's always on their list. They want to be able to go online, go on their iPhone, and have easy reservation access. And I put this slide in here specifically not for architecture, but something for you to think about. When you graduate and when you get out and when you start having your own clients, they expect you to be their trusted advisor. And to be a trusted advisor, you need to know all aspects of what you're designing. And for us in the hospitality industry, we really think about the very first moment that guest wants to make a booking. And how do I advise my clients on things that they need to do? Easy reservation process. A lot of people will go to big hotels maybe to manage their hotels because they have massive reservation systems. Other hotels like to be more boutique, but set up a good, easy system to make reservations for them. But it all starts right when that person thinks he wants to go on a trip. And that's where we start to educate our clients about how they should be thinking about the resort, how people are going to get to their resort, whether it's by aircraft, whether they're driving, whether it's by train. Some of them come by boat, and how we can make the entire sequence from the reservation process all the way through to the arrival and their stay just to be incredible. And that's what luxury travel is about. Not only do they want to have easy reservations, but when they get to the hotel, they also want to have easy check-in and check-out. And that really goes back to what we're designing. That's where the architecture really starts to fit in. And what we say in the luxury market, it shouldn't take any more than 10 minutes from the time you step out of your car, arrive at the front door, to get to your hotel room. And if it starts taking more than 10 minutes, it's way too long. And that's pretty quick. So I put a couple of slides in here. How can we make it happen in 10 minutes? This is a very simple diagram. This was done very early in the design stages of working with a hotel operator. And this project is a Marriott hotel in Vietnam. It's just about to open, and it looks very similar to this very early sketch. But what I wanted to talk about here, this area, I don't know if you can see my cursor. Maybe you can tell me if you can, but the area that's white where my cursor is a straight line visual shot to where the check-in is. And that is in this area over here. Can you see my cursor, Ashok?
No, Dave.
Okay, so the big white area, and that would be off to the left of the screen, that's where the cars drop off. And if you took a straight line from that white area, you'll see a small area with 3 or 4 little desks, 2 chairs each, and a table. And that's actually the check-in area. And what I wanted to talk about here is really, it's a straight line. We want to make it visually easy for people when they walk into the hotel to see the front desk. We don't want them to get lost. And many times I'll go to hotels and check in hotels, and I walk in the front door and I don't know whether to go right or left, and I'm already lost. So the front desk doesn't necessarily have to be the first thing or only thing you see, but we try to get the sight lines to the front desk very, very clear and very easy to understand. And then along the way, with this particular project, if you look where the major seating is happening, that faces directly out to the ocean. So as people were walking to the front desk, we wanted to make sure that they started to get a view of the beautiful ocean that they were going to see in Da Nang. So this was one of the projects. I also put this project, this is a Sofitel that I worked on in Nusa Dua in Bali. And this project also had the front door or the front desk very, very close to the drop-off area. So as you came in and you hit this rotunda, you can see the label front desk there. It's very easy to find. One of the first things you see when you come in, concierge the other side, and then the lobby wrapping around this circular area. And then again, where the bar lounge is, that's the big view area out to the ocean. This was another fairly decent sized hotel, but a much smaller lobby experience that they wanted for the guests. So most of the guests coming in, once they arrive at the drop-off, they'll be escorted to one of these tables where it says lobby, and they'll actually do the check-in just sitting down with a part of the hotel staff. But again, in the planning of the hotel and the ease of the check-in, one of the most important things here really was getting the lobby set up exactly where we needed it and getting it perfect. So that is another aspect here. Oh, let me go back one. Okay, next thing is excellent in the rooms. Like I said, they want to get to their rooms in 10 minutes. And those rooms need to be clean. They need to be very, very comfortable. And there shouldn't be anything out of place when they arrive. Luxury travelers that have very, very high expectations in the rooms and, like I said, expect excellent service. When they go back to what I said about reservations a couple slides back, one of the biggest complaints about that guests give is the room that they booked online is not necessarily the room they got. So one of the things on the luxury travel, and if you're going to advise your clients, when you make a reservation, when the luxury traveler makes a reservation, he wants to get the room they thought they would. Many guests have many different reasons. I can tell you for me, because I'm usually on business, I like to be right next to the elevator. Many people don't like to be next to the elevator because they think it's too noisy, but I just want to get in and out and as fast as I can. Many people want to have the ocean view, garden views, and different views. So those are also very important. As far as the bedding, some people want double beds or king beds, and they get assigned something else along with smoking rooms and non-smoking. And those are all big complaints we hear that from the reservations on that they didn't get the type of room they wanted. So going back to you're being a trusted advisor, it's things to really advise the owner on so he can be talking to the management companies about that and understanding how they're going to control the reservation systems. So this is one of the projects in, it's called Anatara Peace Haven Resort. It's in Sri Lanka. And I think this really goes back to what Ashok was saying. This is all very, very local materials. This is concrete floors, very simple, just plaster over brick walls as far as the details. Nice comfortable beds, of course, and this is a suite in the hotel. Now this hotel, when we designed it, the owner thought that they could get out of a standard room about $400 or $200 per night. And out of these villas, they thought they could probably get maybe $400 to $500 per night for villa. All the rates doubled once they opened. So even though that they had very simple materials used here, it's a very simple hotel. The suite here you see was going somewhere between $800 and on busy times over $1,000 per night. And the standard guest room went from about $200, which they thought they were going to get, to about $400 per night. So the owner was extremely happy. He didn't have to spend a lot of money. He built it in a very traditional way. And again, as Ashok was talking about earlier, he was very happy with us and has asked us to do many more projects with him. So again, as an architect, your repeat business is the best business you can get. And this is how we became his trusted advisor and have been able to do many more projects with this particular owner. This is another one that used very, very simple materials. This one's in Greece. It's just white painted walls. I wouldn't suggest this color in a hotel, but this is exactly what the owner wanted. White is the most difficult color to take care of, and everything in here is white. So if anybody comes in and spills their wine, comes in with dirty shoes or whatever, it's going to be a mess in here. But the hotel is done very, very well. They've been able to maintain it very well, and this particular hotel shuts down for a few months every year because of the weather. So they go back through and either retouch up, repaint, do what they need to do. But it's a very simple product. And I really wanted to bring home on the luxury end what Ashok was saying. You do not have to use expensive materials to make it luxurious and super special for the guests. Another guest room. This is the Rosewood Hotel in the Bahamas. Again, not an expensive interior. It's very localized, very simple wood panels on the wall. We use local wood floors, simple rails. Really try to keep a beachy feel to it. Kind of a plantation style, which fits in the Bahamas. And again, a product either through the artwork, which is local artwork, the materials used, simple chairs, not expensive, made for a beautiful luxury product. And Rosewood is right up there at the top end of the spectrum of hotels, right up there with Four Seasons hotels and others. So they know their market, but they know how to spend their money wisely. And I think the last room I'll show you here is JW Marriott. This room is slightly more expensive just because of the wood panels and detailing on the walls, but it really picked up what JW Marriott was looking for. They changed their entire color palette to be very simple. Materials are all done in Vietnam, but slightly more expensive than the last rooms you've seen. And then going right back, this is the same room from the bathroom. That panel that you see is a folding panel that can, I'll go back to the previous slide. You can see the window pattern. That's just blocking the bathroom. It opens up so the bathrooms get beautiful views out to the sea. This happens in every single guest room. Every guest room has an ocean view. We use local materials and local stones in the bathroom. This big piece of granite was found near site. There's lots of granite in this area, and we were able to use that for pieces of the bathroom and tie on. So another luxury piece from a different operator, but different ways that you can look at a bathroom, tie it back into a bedroom, really try to get floor to ceiling height windows and open a spectacular view to give a great guest experience in the luxury market. And then going on to bathrooms, this is a city hotel. This is the St. Regis residences. It's this one I'll call fairly high end. They did use plaster walls and didn't use marble all the way through, but it does have marble surrounds on these doors, marble floors. So you can see that this bathroom would be definitely much more high end for the luxury market. And the rates in this hotel, because it's a city hotel for the St. Regis, is much higher. I don't have to go through this. This, again, I would call a mid-scale, upper to mid-scale bathroom. Tried to limit the use of marble, just as the wainscot at the bottom, and keep plaster up on top. And again, just give a very luxury feel. Has very axial, beautiful views when you come in the door. When the door swings open, you're going to see this beautiful bathroom, this beautiful tub you get to sit in or take a bath in. So it's even the organization of the bathroom. This one is very symmetrical around this sink area and is very luxurious for the guests. And I probably don't need to do another bathroom. This one's very high end because it uses a marble all the way through. But again, trying to focus the door on this double sink here, beautiful bathtub beyond with a shower and things. So again, looking at a very high end piece. Seems like I threw a lot of bathrooms in here because bathrooms are one of the areas that people really look at for luxury. I'd say this is a very high luxury. This is a Four Seasons hotel in Sharm el Sheikh. The screens to screen the tub, but still getting the beautiful views. I mean, you got plumbing walls on two sides with sinks and coming in, beautiful vanities. Every single material in here is very high luxury. This is a very expensive hotel to stay in. But I can say all those bathrooms that I showed you run in the luxury market. It's just how much these owners want to spend. If you get into the Four Seasons range, you're definitely right at the top of the market. So I'll finally get off of the bathroom areas, and let's talk about dining. I don't have quite as many slides on the dining areas here, but the guests expect excellent service in dining and very well thought out and designed restaurants. This is one of the restaurants at the Fairmont. This one's in Jordan. It's a very successful hotel. I think the guests really like this glass dome that's on the interiors, the light that brings down the scale so you don't feel like the space is too tall. The separation seems to be big enough for guests, and it's been a very, very successful restaurant for the Fairmont Hotel. So that's why I put it in here. It's been so successful for the hotel, and they love it so much. I wanted to show it. It's not super complicated as far as the seating and the tables, fairly basic on that, but the money really came in the lighting, the chandeliers, and the dome that sits up above. And we also look at, I wouldn't call this necessarily a restaurant, but it gets used for dining. It's in the Bentley Suite at the St. Regis in New York. Now, this product is very interesting because we had to work with the Bentley car automobile factory on every single aspect of this. So we sent our teams into the Bentley factory, and they learned about how the Bentley car was made. And then they took that experience and brought it back out and put it in a hotel room. And then this suite actually gets used for dinners, events. Sometimes guests stay there. It's all based on the highest end Bentley car, which is called the Mulsanne. And the Mulsanne uses Breitling clocks in the car. I can tell you each one of those 4 clocks up in the right-hand side of the picture, those are all Breitling clocks. The leather that's used in each of these chairs is actually the leather that's used in the cars. The carpets and things were based on Bentley design. We worked with the Bentley factory on the lights. It picks up on another piece of the design. And as you go through the suite, it's all about the Bentley automobile. It actually smells like a Bentley car when you go in there, at least when it was a brand new suite. And but it really picks up on that luxury end, that luxury user that likes to buy Bentleys also likes to use this room. And like I said, it gets used for dining quite often. And on a totally separate note, this is going back to the Onatara Hotel, Peacehaven. And this was the original design for a restaurant. It's a beachside restaurant and a very high-end beachside restaurant that the owner at one point thought it was going to be too expensive to build. And I have to say we were very fortunate because CNN put this picture, the one that you see here, in a CNN television ad, and it was talking about the next generation of hotels coming up, and this was done just a few years ago. And because this picture was used, the owner felt obligated to build it. But we had to help him come in and make sure he could build it to look like this and still satisfy the guests. And it was really, it was a challenge. They started to build it out of concrete, and we told them to stop and start over again. And we really helped them design it. And in the end, this is what it looks like. Very high-end beach hotel. A lot of the tables are either inside if you want, but a lot of people just like to sit on the sand. One of these shelves is the actual bar. Another one is the actual restaurant dining area. And it's become one of the most popular restaurants in the entire resort. And people in the area come by just to see it. And it's made with sail material and steel. And the sail material helps with the waterproofing. It's 2 layers. And the steel, of course, gets the shell shape. When they were trying to do it out of concrete, they couldn't do it. They couldn't figure out how to do it to get these curves to feel like a shell. And we're very happy with this product. We're very happy with CNN for showing it and helping us getting it built. And the owner's now very happy because it's such a spectacular restaurant. And let's talk about amenities that you should be thinking about here. And I'll take you through some pictures of projects, different amenities, but always be thinking about these. Families and family travel. So many people will go to a resort because they can bring their kids. And we need to always be thinking about kids and kids clubs and noise that kids make, especially if you're combining a luxury resort where couples want to go and a luxury resort where people might want to bring their families. And this is one that was done in Turkey that we did that is very, very successful, very family orientated. And just want you to keep always thinking about the kids, because it's a huge part of what we do and a huge part of the resort market and a huge part of the luxury market. Another thing is culinary. And so many people like to do something different on their vacation besides just go to the beach. And we've been doing more and more of these cooking centers where the chefs will start to teach the guests how to cook local foods, something special on their menu. It's a great way for your owners to make money. It's a great way for the hotel to make money. And it's what a great experience for the guests. And the classes are always full. They always get taken up, and it's a great way for you to be thinking about other activities and amenities in the property. This is one of the properties I'm very proud of. It was shown in my first bio slide, but this is a chapel that was done at the Conrad Hotel in Bali. It's very, very famous. It's one of the most used chapels probably in Bali, and very, very simple A-frame design. Just sits about maybe 2 meters above the ocean. So if you're getting married inside this chapel, it looks like an infinity edge pool, right, or infinity edge right out to the water. It looks like you're just the chapel's sitting on the water, just like this photo. So the ocean beyond, the waters that we created, making sure your sight lines and everything was just right. And also the luxury market coming in to use this chapel. It's not cheap to use, and the owner's very happy with this. I have to say this hotel gets booked by the Indian clientele quite often, where they'll book out the entire hotel, fly their guests into Bali, stay and spend 3 or 4 days there, and book out the entire property. It's amazing, and it's been very, very well used and well loved by the Indian community. And so we're very excited about that. And I know it can't be cheap to get people down to Bali. This chapel, although small, was probably fairly expensive to use. It's all done on one side out of travertine. One side is more glass, one side is more travertine. Of course, the sun side is travertine to block the sun going in and getting the space too hot. But very, very well and very, very loved chapel in Bali. And then, of course, at the St. Regis in Singapore, we also did this product here, highly used for weddings. More of the local community uses this property. But as we're designing the hotel, and you're designing for not just the luxury market, but all the markets, I always want you to think about, we used to call it the Kodak moment, but now it's an Instagram moment. Where do people want to take their pictures? And we're always thinking about that in the planning and the design of the hotel. Where's going to be that special photo shot? And this particular shot is one that the wedding couples end up taking almost all the time, up around this stairway, this big chandelier. And so for a city hotel, this is a very, very important spot. And I think part of the success of the weddings happening here is just there's a few different spots where they can get these really special photographs taken. And again, just a very special wedding venue. This is on a resort. This one's in Bali. Again, a special spot to have a spa treatment for couples. This is a couple's room right out near the water. It's actually sitting on a cliff. It's not actually at the beach level. It's raised probably 15 or 20 meters off the beach. And it's just one of those places where people in the luxury end of the market will spend much more money. It's fairly simple designs, just a simple room that uses glass out there, but very, very well used and booked all the time for couples. So always be thinking about the spa and the treatments. Again, I like to use the Ayana. This client has tried, we've done about 5 hotels for him and right on this property. And he's always trying something new. So this is one of the high-end luxury pools that we've done for him. Sits a little bit above the big pool, so you can use either one. But couples just like to hang out in this upper one. And once a couple come in, they get to stay there for the entire day. So it's just another beautiful aspect of putting in a simple swimming pool, elevating a portion, and then getting the luxury market to use it. And this is, again, a very high-end luxury market. This is also the Ayana. They have a thalassal spa, so it's all about water treatments and getting massages through jets of water and how the waters hit you in the back and the legs and things like that. And very well used. Again, a very simple Balinese structure. The money was spent on the water jets and the pool, but the actual building is very, very simple and very traditional in use. And I put this one in here too, because you can think of your pools in many different ways. This is the W Hotel in Singapore. It's out at a place called Sentosa Cove. And I specifically showed this slide for the swimming pool, not necessarily the building. And they like to hold big parties in this pool, and they like to hold fashion shows at this pool. So part of this deck that you see with the chairs on it gets used in many different ways. I've seen it out there where there's actually musicians playing out here, so they're kind of more in the center of the pool. I've seen it used for fashion shows where they have an event going on at the pool. And I've seen it as it's sitting here now, just with deck chairs where people can hang out and have a drink by the pool. So always think of using all the facilities in different ways, and just gives the owners, gives the operators many choices that they can use as they're designing the hotel and the pools and the spaces, whether it's restaurant or pools or spas and these things. So again, for the luxury market, it's just very, very high end. Think about places, we talked about families and kids, but also you need those special couple spaces, whether it's in a guest room, whether it's after a spa treatment, where couples can have that special moment together, just have those private conversations. And yeah, it's just very, very important. And then fitness is another thing. People are using fitness centers all the time. If you can pick them up to get a special view, they get used more. This is, again, at the Ayana. I use this project quite often because it's just a special place. This Ayana is a brand new one. This is on the island of Komodo. You may have heard of the Komodo dragon. It's right next to this island, so you can take a boat over to see the big Komodo dragons. And it's one of the first big Ayana resorts there, but it's done by the same client that did the one in Bali that I talked about earlier. I'm going to talk about COVID-19 before I get into a couple of projects. COVID-19 is really hitting us all in the industry very, very hard. The hotels, as you're probably aware, in India, along with every other country in the world, are suffering right now. And what does that mean for cleanliness? And what is the luxury traveler going to be looking for? They may want to go to smaller resorts now. They're going to want to make sure that everything they touch and get in contact with is clean. And they probably want to stay away from people as much as possible. So we're already hearing that trend going on in the industry. This was a point, I was going to show you a video that came out about a year ago, and it was in China, and it was at a very high-end 5-star hotel. Actually, there was 3 very high-end international 5-star hotels, and they showed the maids cleaning the rooms. And because the hotels were very busy, the maids were using the toilet brushes that they first cleaned the toilet with to go and then clean clean the sinks in the bathroom, and then clean the glasses that were sitting in the bathroom, all with the same toilet brush. And they saw this happen at 3 hotels. They were dipping towels in the toilet and then cleaning the floors with them. And these are at some of the highest end hotels and brands that we've mentioned earlier. I'm going to say the brands probably were shorthanded. The maids probably felt overworked, because I know the people in these brands, and they definitely do not train their staff to work that way. But this is what was happening, and this was pre-COVID. And now we're in a new world. We got to figure out how to get people to want to come back to hotels, want to come back and stay at these resorts. They've got beautiful facilities, but if they feel too jammed, or people feel like they're not clean, they're not going to come back. So that's what we're working on now. And we talked about easy check-in earlier, but what's it going to mean post-COVID? Maybe people aren't going to want to see anybody. Maybe there'll be nobody at reception. Are we going to start just checking in by keypads or multiple keypads? We've seen this beginning in some of the hotels already, putting this up. And what do we do at big hotels, convention hotels, where there may be more guests? What do we do at 500 or 1,000 room hotels? We're going to need a lot of kiosks if this is the way to check in the future. And it seems like it might be a bit burdensome. Again, going back to the touch, are people really going to want to be touching these screens? Has somebody just touched before? We've heard that they're not. So this may not be the way we want to go in the future, although some of the hotels have already started thinking about this technology. I'm thinking it's probably going to go more in this direction, at least in the short term, where you're going to either be able to use your iPad, your iPhone, your watch, just to be able to make your reservations and check in off of your watch. And it's probably using one of these barcodes, whether it's on your watch. You'll be able to flash it, and it will set you up with a key, your own special key, to get into your room. And I think the check-in process, at least in the short term, until we figure out new technology, is heading this way. But I think it's something for your generation really to think about. We're getting hit now, but how are you going to see it in the future, and what are you going to feel comfortable with? Because I think this COVID was a real shock to everybody's system, how fast it came on and how fast people wanted to stop traveling. We've already seen this, where robots are kind of starting to tell us where to go. Is this going to happen in a hotel lobby where you punch in and then a robot will take you there, or a robot might say, hey, follow me up to your guest room? Again, I'm not so sure on these screens that people are really going to want to touch them. Is there going to be people cleaning them all the time? I think this technology is already dated. There is hotels that it's called the Yotel, already uses robots. They get all sorts of complaints. I don't think the technology is quite there yet for the robot to react or do exactly fast enough what you want it to do. Other things that we're seeing happen, of course, you can check into your room with, like I mentioned, off your iPhone or maybe your watch. But now we're seeing the hotel brands starting to team up with the cleaning brands. So Hilton has already started a clean stay, because they've teamed up with Lysol to say, hey, your room is incredibly clean now, so you luxury travelers trust us. But the reason I wanted to show you that video before is because if the maids are cleaning the rooms with the same toilet brush and cleaning the glasses out and cleaning the sinks with the same toilet brush, it doesn't matter if you put a sticker on the door that says you're clean. If people don't believe you're clean and you just say, I've used Lysol disinfectant, I'm not sure that's going to cut it in the luxury market. It may make people feel a little bit more comfortable, but overall, I'm not sure. And, you see, again, with Hilton, they show this ad with this Hilton employee, cleaning the railings of a stair. But as soon as he cleans it and the next guest goes up the stair and uses the railing, does he have to clean it again? Do you have a guy cleaning all day long the railings? I doubt it. So again, I don't think this is going to work very well. I think it's something we really need to think about. How do we convince people to have good hygiene. And this is a slide I saw, which is probably already outdated. This is a buffet in China, and you can see people are wearing masks, people are wearing gloves. We've already heard that the gloves aren't that sanitary. We don't know if people have coughed into them, what they've done with them, wiped their nose with them. And then they're picking up trays. There isn't a lot of separation between the food. So I think this is probably going to be gone. I think this is probably the new buffet where you'll have some type of worker for the hotel on one side of the glass, and you're going to pick out what you want on the other, on the luxury end. And I think that's probably how it's going to be worked. It may get people to take a little bit less food on their plate and maybe just go back for seconds and thirds as they need it. They may feel a little more embarrassed if somebody's loading up their plate for them. So maybe we'll save some food in the long run. But I think this is probably, at least in the short term, how the buffets are going to work. And the buffets are such a big part of a hotel and the restaurants, because people just love going to a brunch over here in the West on a Sunday, enjoying going out with families and a nice big meal. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with COVID. Again, I'm not sure if robots will serve us room service in the future. They're trying it, but so far I'd say with limited success. So I think with that, I'm going to get into a couple of projects and take you through some of the things that we've been doing. It refers back to almost everything, some part of everything I've talked about previously. So this is a medical center in Qatar, I think as many people call it, Qatar as they say in the US. But it was really focused around health and wellness. It's in the desert. It's a destination where people will go. It has villas where people can recover after they have a treatment. And they can come in and have, I would say, minor surgeries here. They can get health treatments, they can get massages, and they just come to this place to recover. There's not many people here, and so they feel that they're much more isolated. This is just on the drawing boards now, and it's about to happen. So the COVID portion has already come into the design of some of this hotel, and there's been modifications made because of COVID. So on the planning of this hotel, even though it's in the desert, it's near one of the Red Sea projects, and as you arrive, we actually wanted to give that very luxurious sense of entry. So through the planting and through what we've done, a beautiful curved arrival road goes from the main drive up to a beautiful arrival area. Even the patterns that we're using in the arrival area are all around health and wellness. It's a circular pattern that is used in many wellness facilities where they have people almost walk in these circles just to free up their mind. They don't have to go to a destination. It's just kind of walking in these circles. So it's a very, very interesting design and picked up in the arrival. We have a grand lobby area. I call it a grand lobby, but it's very subdued. Not too many people will come into this lobby when somebody's not feeling well or arriving or having a medical treatment. They may not want so many people to see them. So it's very, very simple. It's just really to be greeted. From there, you can split off and go to a cafe on one side that gets a beautiful view out to a sea across a courtyard. And you go into the other direction and you can get an exam and diagnostics. And with that, from your exam, there's laboratories attached to that. Off of that, we have treatment rooms, surgery rooms, and of course, the laboratories and back of house facilities that all have to happen with this. So this building is a very simple piece. It's not a pure hotel. I would say the villas we did fall more into the hotel market piece that I would normally talk about. But this one I wanted to show you hospitality in a medical form, because this touches purely the luxury market. And this is what I was talking about on that water feature and arrival area. It's in the circular pattern. which picks up again right across the portico and again into the grand lobby area. And these circular walking paths are very much used, like I said, in wellness areas across the world. And again, it's a very simple materials used, very simple stones from the area, planting that doesn't take much water because we're in the desert, and not a very expensive drop-off and arrival port cochere area at all, but very luxurious for the person arriving there. So again, I just have to go back to what was said earlier. It doesn't have to be expensive to be luxurious. And again, as we come into the grand lobby through the portico, you can see again the circular pattern. What we wanted to see, you have a special greeter that's happening here. You have a little garden area that lets natural light in so you don't feel like you're in a enclosed space. And then from that grand lobby, you can easily be greeted and then escorted into a consultation room, men and women's treatment rooms, or off to the cafe. So you really get a special arrival treatment from the people running the facility. And the training of those people is very important because the people coming here might need a surgery or going to have some type of surgery done. So they have to be very cognizant that as people come and go from this facility out to the villas that they may be staying in later, that they aren't walking across lobbies and they're really not seen very much, because nobody wants to see anybody after they've had a surgery, and nobody wants to be seen after they've had a surgery. So always got to think about how the flow of people through the spaces are. And then you can see through the materials, there's gardens, there's screens from the area, there's beautiful dome area with natural light coming in. And it's a very simple lobby. It's not massively big, very simple, tried to make it very private, and you really are just coming into this area so you can get through it very quickly and greeted properly. And this is some of the architecture that's being used. It's very much traditional from the area. Very simple geometric architecture and very simple screening. And this end at the right is the cafe that goes out to an outdoor seating area, which is not used in the hot times, but mainly in the evenings and when the weather's a little bit better. Okay, and I'll take you through a section again. The sections are very important as you enter through an arrival court. Like I said, a very simple domed area into what we call the grand lobby with beautiful screening. And even as you walk through the spaces into the treatment rooms beyond, you can see the light wells that are happening at more of the left side, just to let natural light come into the space. So people always have some type of connection back to light or views and nature. And this is one of the treatment rooms and surgery rooms that are happening. You can see the surgery rooms also have art walls in them, so the person coming in, just try to calm them down and make them feel much more comfortable before they have the rooms. And you can see some of the waiting rooms and areas next to for guests that may be visiting, and you may have the patient just on the other side of the room here. So everybody can be together, but if the patient is sleeping, at least the guests have a place to go, and it's much more private. The visitors. And this is one of the rooms that after treatment, there's art walls and walls there. They're all very easy cleaning for the medical side, can be wiped down, simple materials. So that's one of the projects that we did on a medical side. This is a project in the rainforest. It's for the ASEAN Summit that was in Langkawi, Malaysia. Unfortunately, the summit never happened, and it was shifted to Kuala Lumpur just before because the city of Langkawi wasn't ready. But this was designed for a head of state, so it would have been for a president coming to stay here. This one has a lot to do with local materials of the area, but actually sustainability and trying to just work around the forest. So we didn't take out any of the major trees. Every single building in this plan was worked around the existing trees. It was a very, very private location on the site. So we were able to squeeze some pools at different areas. It has about 6 different rooms in it for an entourage of people that would be traveling with the president. Very open. We wanted it to feel like nature was coming from the inside to the outside. So you can see very open areas where the beds were. Of course, there's screening at night, but during the daytime, it really felt like nature was coming in whether it's sitting and reading areas, bedrooms. And this lower picture here, you can see one of the pools just wrapping around the trees and how we work the decks and things around the trees. And this is one of the luxurious bathrooms we put in. Again, very open. We wanted to use a lot of glass in here. There was a lot of shading from the trees, and just use very natural materials, stones and woods, and just make it very, very luxurious for the guests staying here. So this was a very high-end luxury, probably as high as you could get for a head of state. This is one of the projects that I really, really love. This one is in Bhutan. It's Shivasam Resort. It's not built yet. I hope it will be in the not too distant future. But it's this is the site planning of it. It sits on the top of a hill. And Shivasam is all about wellness and health. And everything we did on this project was really about healing. And people that come to this project would just really want to have a nice getaway. It's for a very high-end luxury market. But again, the materials, the units themselves are very simple designs. They're not super luxurious in materials, no imported marbles or things, just very, very localized. And we tried to build just like they would on the hillside in Bhutan, any other project. So it starts at the bottom of the hill. You can see a road that's going on off to the upper left-hand corner. That's kind of the entry drive, and comes up to a number 1, if you can see that on a screen. And then from that is the drop off, and then it's an escort up into the village, into the guest rooms, and the rest of the healing of the site. So a very simple site plan. And what we tried to do on this one is design the project around a story and around the culture. So the architecture picks up the culture. We tried to pick up a lot of the things that happen in the Buddhism culture of the region. And what we wanted to do is tell a story about a guest staying here who was traveling to the Shivasam Resort in Bhutan. And you'll see in the coming slides, it was really about him and his paintings and what he experienced along the way. So that story helped us keep the concept alive and tie it all together. So this was his day 1, where he's talking about, or day 2, he just arrived in Bhutan, how he's feeling invigorated, and he has a passion, and he loves the natural environment, and he's starting to get a sense of what it's all about. And he talks about a meditation cave that he came to on his first day. And then as he talks about the culture of Bhutan and this the endless knot that he received, and how he had peace and happiness while he was staying there. And these are some of the photographs and his paintings of the flags, prayer flags as he arrived. And this is paintings of the hillside of one of the villages that he saw, and how the organic nature and the plans of as he walked through the villages, and his inspiration that he was getting on his arrival. And then as he arrives at the Shivasam Resort, what he sees as he's going up the hill, this beautiful village in the clouds. And it was really that whole experience of what we wanted the guests to see when they first arrived. And it's very much like a Bhutan hillside that's not brand new, but has been there for centuries. And this is about his walk after he arrived, as he's going up the hill and he's being taken up towards his room, and how he was given this bracelet by a monk. It's called a 3-eyed bead bracelet, and the story around that. And as he arrives at the village, what does he start to see, and the gateway into the village. And these are all paintings that we did, but we wanted to depict it as his story. And they got a picture of me when I was in Bhutan, and it's a very magical place. And then as this guest was going through, we talk about the story that he sees through the courtyards and images that we're showing of the buildings, but really it's a story about a guest and what he sees and what he sees when he sits on stairs and he's watercoloring and his memories. And those are all so important for the luxury traveler. We want to tell them these beautiful stories. And this is a real authentic story about what we expect the guests to feel and see when they're there. And talks about the clearings and different way he felt about his life and calmness and peace that he gets. And this was called the Tree of Life, which was in one of the courtyards that we were proposing to do. And again, using these stories, bringing the cultural aspects in for the whole guest experience is really what these people are yearning for, and this high-end traveler is really looking for. And it's again, this resort for Shiva-sama is all about wellness. And even as he goes into some of the treatment areas and spa areas, how he enters at a lower area and has to go up again. We talk about the spiral staircases like we did in the Project Den Cutter. We used that same form and shape in this project, and as he arrives, and we talk about how he was, the floor had these beautiful lotus flower patterns, and how he was given these amulets, and it was about enlightenment, and it's a real full story. And I'm giving it to you very, very quickly, but I just want you to get a feel for how a story can start to talk about a concept that you can sell to a client. And this was about voids and solids and voids, and how the planning of the spa is set up that way. And we even took it all the way into a traditional floor plan of a Bhutanese home, and how we can bring that planning into the guest room, each of the guest rooms that we were doing here. And these are some of the quick, real diagrammatic sketches for the client of what we were thinking. And again, a photo of this wellness retreat, and how he again got this symbolic endless knot at the end of his journey, and what the jade represented of healing and the attributes of the jade. So again, that was a project that we hope to see built in the not too distant future. We think it's going to be a fabulous resort, and really talks about wellness. It's not too big, and I think we can pick up a lot of the things we're learning from COVID and bring it back into this resort. This one's quickly just Bardesano. It's the first resort in the U.S. that was LEED Platinum. Again, it's a lot about sustainability, use of materials, and I don't think because time is getting shorter, I think I'll run through this one very quickly. But again, you can see it's not it wouldn't come off like a Ritz-Carlton. It's a very individually branded hotel, very simple materials, but very, very luxurious, very high end. It sits in the wine country of California, so people going out for wine tasting like to stay here. Uses indoor and outdoor baths and showers, which we see quite often now, but just very simple wood fences and things like that. He used geothermal for its heating, and yeah, it's been a very, very successful resort. This I will also quickly go through, but I wanted to talk about culture a little bit. These screens, these metal screens that you see here in these photos, we got with the Hawaiian community and actually designed these screens with them. They talk about the mountains, they talk about the area where this hotel is. So again, I just want to talk about how to make something luxurious, but really use the community and what they're bringing into the resort. These carvings are all from the Hawaiian community, and they have people in the Hawaiian community to tell the guests the story at the hotel about the area. So every single metal panel you hear is designed by a Hawaiian and tells a story about the Hawaiian culture. So I only have a couple more slides here that I really wanted to talk to you about, and this is the next generation of travel. And for you, it's just things to be thinking about as you get out in your career. But conscious travel is becoming so important. 2019, there was 1.5 billion travelers across the world, and that's up 4% from 2018. There's so many more people traveling. The middle class is traveling, and people want eco-friendly travel. It's becoming more and more prioritized. So you're learning about sustainability and culture and how to put these things together is so important, and it's going to become more and more important. And there was a survey, and 52% of the travelers believe climate change will influence their travel destination. So that's just saying, whatever these resorts are doing, they need to make sure they're sustainable in everything they do, and they're culturally relevant. They're helping their communities, and travelers will expect the tour operators and hotel operators to offset carbon footprints if need be. And but I think I'm not a big fan of carbon offsetting. I wish people would just take care of the business themselves and not try to get credits from somebody else. But at least where we sit today, it's something that the guest is going to be expecting. Slower travel is becoming more and more prevalent. People are wanting to get to destinations a little slower, maybe take a few extra days at the resort, but maybe take a few more days to get there. So instead of going by car or flying, people are looking at trains. A train service is going up and higher, and this is the Orient Express, which is an incredible experience if you ever get to do it. But it's a great way to travel and just see the countryside. So it's fantastic. But longer journeys, slower journeys are also, again, I talked about the reservation system, but how do you get to the resort? And will the hotels start to say, hey, we're going to pick up a train service or team up with a train service, so there's a Hilton train or a Hyatt train or an Oberoi train that you can get on to get to your destination. Participating is also becoming more and more exciting. There's travel now there's a month-long sabbatical that you can take in Antarctica, where you can work with researchers. There's Italian sabbaticals where you can stay in the Italian villages and learn about aging populations. That's already out there. There's places that you can go to learn Chinese. And there's just so many different things, from beekeeping to cooking to so many other things you can do. But people don't just want to lie on a beach anymore, or just go skiing anymore. They want to do other things in their travel. So we're going to have to be thinking about so many more things within communities that we can tie up hotels to do. Volunteerism is another thing where people can actually get out in the community and help a community. So we're going to see much more of this going on. People don't just, like I said, want to sit on a beach. If they can help build a house for Habitat with Humanity, help plant trees, whatever that may be, we're starting to see more and more travelers asking to do that. And I'm going to finish off with something that's happening in so many areas now. It's destination awareness. People are tired of going to places that are packed, and it's ruining the environment. So people are saying they will stop going to places if they're too crowded. They will go to destinations that are similar, that are less crowded. So, and then governments are also now getting involved, saying, hey, we're going to make sure there's less people coming to these things. We're going to charge a lot more money for entrance fees. So those are just some of the things that are happening. The Komodo Islands that I've talked to, they were talking about having membership fees where it's $1,000 per member just to go in and see the Komodo dragons. So they can make it quite expensive, but they're worried about the environment being changed and shifted. So those are all things that we're seeing. So it's going to become much more diversified. There's going to be a lot more second tier areas that are going to be coming up out of the limelight. So the Balis and things we'll still get travelers, but less. There's going to be more people going to different destinations like Bhutan and new destinations that we don't even know about yet. So I think I'll finish off with that. I don't know if you have any questions. I don't know if it's exactly how you thought I was going to do this, Ashok, but I really wanted to give a 5-star luxury, what people are thinking about, where the industry is going, and some examples of what we're doing. So feel free to ask any questions as needed.
So thank you, Dave, and happy to receive this insightful commentary.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And I would now request students who have questions to put up their hands, and we will try and get Dave to answer these questions in the shortest possible time.
Well, put me on the spot. That's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So who has questions for David Moore?
Wow, it must have been so
Yeah.
good. There's no questions.
Okay. Manogna, please unmute your microphone.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Manogna here.
Hi.
Sir, firstly, behalf of the entire 7th semester students, I'd like to thank you so much for guiding us through the tall building project last semester. Like every single conversation that we had with you was indeed very thought-provoking, and it helped us proceed in the right direction.
Well, I thank you very much. It was my honor too. It's always it was a lot of fun, and I think you guys came up with some amazing designs. And
Thank you.
yeah, it was really fun. So good job to everybody.
Thank you so much, sir. So the question that I have now is, what are the challenges and opportunities of being more sensitive to the social sustainability factor over economic and environmental factors? Plus, how does this contribute to the luxury aspect of a high-end hotel?
Well, for the social aspect, well, maybe I'll start with the client. For us, we have to have the right client. I'll be really honest with you. There's many of the clients out there where it's just a business and they're not thinking of the social aspect. And I think it's going to take really your generation coming in and as the next generations are coming to make it a much stronger appeal. I have to say, ashamedly, that the generation, not all, but running many of the properties now, it's just about the money and not the social aspect of what they're doing for the communities. But we actually see that changing, which is a great thing. And I don't know if it's because some of the owners of these properties are changing hands to their kids and their sons and things, but there's a whole new aspect coming in, which is great. It's such a good thing for the social aspect of what's happening in the communities. There's jobs that can be created. I have to say the hotel operators have been pretty good for the most part. They've been starting training centers. They've been starting schools to train people up on how to work in these properties and really upgrading. What's that?
Can I interrupt? Could you
Sure.
unshare the screen?
Okay, where do I do? Let me see if I can do that. Did I do that?
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. So let's see, where was I? Yeah, I think the aspect is getting much better. It's going to be much stronger. And the hotels will still have to run as a business. They have to pay for themselves. But I see the owners now willing to really help out the communities that they're in, many of them. Like I said, we're not there yet. And I think it's going to be a generational shift. Maybe COVID will help get us there quicker. It's accelerating many things in the hotel industry, from the digital side to others. And I hope it does get there quicker on the social front. I don't know if I answered your question. I started rambling off a little bit. So if there's another part that I missed, please let me know.
Okay.
No, sir, it's fine. You answered it. Thank you so much.
All right. Shruti Sashikumar.
Yes, sir. Hi, Shruti here. It's nice to speak to you again. So I understand that when we come to a luxury hotel design, that guest experience is of top priority. But when we're talking about responsible luxury design, we'll also have to focus on the sustainability aspect and the environmental impact and things like that. But when we're talking about sustainability, it might not very necessarily go hand in hand with the guest experience. So where do you compromise and how do you tweak in all these opportunities of sustainability into a luxury hotel?
Yeah, it can be compromising. At some points, I'll tell you a little bit on the sustainability side. LEED has been a very difficult piece for the hotel industry. They're really not set up to get LEED certified. They don't orientate their buildings right. The owners a lot of times are selling properties off, and they're not willing to sink the money in. What's changing is the luxury market is expecting sustainability to happen. It's actually the reverse. It's not the owners that are driving it. It's actually the end users. And I would say a few years ago, the luxury traveler wanted to feel like they were doing something good. Like they would say, hey, you don't have to wash my towel every day. I was about as minimal as they could do on a sustainability front. But now the luxury traveler is telling the hotel owners and operators, you must have sustainability or we're not going to stay here. And that's going to change the industry. So it's a little bit of a reverse. It's not coming from the owner. It'll come from the end user and what they're willing to pay for. And as soon as one hotel starts succeeding, and we're already seeing rates at some of the hotels that are doing sustainability within their development are getting 20-25% higher rates per night in a room, which equates to millions of dollars per year. So I think we can just keep pushing. I think we should just keep pushing along, and as long as you're not, degrading and putting really cheap things in that are going to fall apart, which isn't really part of sustainability anyway, and you can tell a story around it, and we design it to be something special, I think we can tell a great story and make it work. So I'm not giving you exact examples, but I'm telling you it's going to change, definitely.
All right, we'll entertain one more question. Since we are running out of time. Anoop Menon.
Thank you, sir, for this opportunity. Hi, Dave. Just a quick question with this world inequality gap shifting so vividly. Is luxury overstated?
It's interesting. We just had our strategy teams look at it, and the luxury market, I think, is going to stay strong. One of the reasons that there's many of the hotel operators now are talking about doing more boutique hotels because there's not as many people because of the COVID, and so the luxury market is probably going to be looking for smaller properties, and the hotel operators are already looking at downsizing many of their properties and going into more luxury brands. So from what we can tell, I think the luxury market is going to stay. But again, I think they will expect all these things we talked about, from the culture to the community to being socially responsible, to happen within the resort, and even down to the carbon footprint. They want somebody to offset the carbon footprints for them, and that's coming from the luxury end of the market. So I think it's here to stay. And it will continue. I think we're going to have probably more challenges on the maybe the middle to upper middle market, where we all of a sudden have these convention centers and conference centers that can hold thousands of people, and how are we going to handle that? We've got in Las Vegas, we've got hotels that hold 6,000 rooms, that have 12,000 employees to deal with. So how are we going to deal with all these people? They're like little cities in themselves on very small properties, and how are we going to make people feel safe working in those environments is going to be the challenge. But I think the luxury end market will stay. It's not going to stop.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I wish we could continue further, Dave, but I think we have a shortage of time.
I'm sorry I took too long. I spoke too long. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. It's our pleasure. So as a token of our appreciation, Dave, we would like to present you with a digital illustration of yourself done by one of our third-year students, Yugendran.
Wow, fantastic.
So
I love it.
we will have this email to you, and you can have it for safekeeping.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Whoever did that, I very much appreciate it. Wow. Great job. And I'm wearing the same jacket now, which is great. And I thank all of you so much for sitting through, and it's been my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. So thank you so much.
So finally, I would request our Dean, Dr. Shiva Chandar, School of Planning, Architecture and Design Excellence, to render the vote of thanks. We can't hear you. Okay.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I am very much delighted to render this vote of thanks for this distinguished lecture by architect David Moore. We have been associated with him since Vaktra, that is NASA talk series, which we conducted in September 2019. And we were also fortunate to visit his office when 12 of our faculty members visited Singapore in November 2019. He has also mentored one of the studio project for our current fourth-year students. So I am very much thankful to you for the support you are giving to SPADE and being with us today in spite of your busy schedule. Thank you very much. And I express my sincere thanks to architect N.S. Ashok, who played a pivotal role for all that I mentioned to happen. My thanks to the management of our institute, who are always supporting us for all our endeavors. And I would like to thank architect Verghese Suman for his presence today. My appreciation to the faculty members Reshmi, Kashirajan, Kalyan, and fourth-year student Srinidhi, who are behind this success of this distinguished lecture today. And I thank all my beloved students and faculty members who attended this lecture today. And I am sure that all of you would have immensely benefited out of this lecture. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
So thank you, Dave, once again.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks so much. Look forward to speaking to you all and seeing you hopefully after we can all travel again.
Yes.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you all.
Okay, take care, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, with this, we are coming to the end of the lecture. Thank you all for joining in through YouTube and through MS Teams. Thank you once again. Thank you.